Join Sean and Brad as they talk about sports and share a beer. From the east coast of Canada to the west coast of the United States. Over to you, boys.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Sean and Brad are here today talking about all things guys, beers, and sports. Got a lot of things to cover today. A lot of Game 7s to get to. A couple Game 7s coming up. Right, I know Sean's really excited. His Raptors made a big move, which we'll talk about that. We actually haven't talked about.
We have not.
So we're going to have a real conversation in a minute about that. And so all those things. First things first, beer time.
Yeah.
So today, for me, probably my all-time favorite, Irish Death. Iron Horse Brewery, Ellensburg, Washington. Check it out. It's the business.
Yeah? Yeah, what does it taste like?
Magical unicorns.
Buddy.
It's a dark ale, right? It's smooth. It's you can't really comprehend and like get to it. Like it's a little bit it's got some Guinness like hints to it, but some real just like nice smooth pale. Also, it's a weird, I don't want to say weird, but it's a brilliant collaboration between them.
So it's like a blanket coming over and hugging you, and then all of a sudden it's just constricting you for a second.
Like a weighted blanket nap.
Oh, buddy. No, I like that. Oh.
It's like, you know what I mean? It's like it's a nap, but it's like a next level nap. Like it's like
it's securing you.
Yeah, you know, and like as big guys, right? We don't like, and one of the reasons why I like hugging you and hugging other big people is because it feels like I'm actually hugging somebody as opposed to like enveloping somebody. So I imagine that, you know, this beer is probably like other people feel like when I hug them, this enveloping them in kindness, you know. And so anyway.
So what I got here is from Garrison from 1149 Marginal Street in Halifax, Nova Scotia. The Garrison Tall Ship. It's an East Coast ale. So I had to get it a tall ship, Navy. I'm like, all right. And it's a little hoppy, but it's pretty darn good. And this is exactly what I think the East Coast tastes like.
Okay. Well, I'll just leave that alone for now. So I wanted to jump in real quick. So your friend Corey was gracious enough to jump in for me this week when I had some things going on. Kind of last minute came up.
Yeah.
And so Corey came on, talked a little bit about like the state of the world, right? And kind of, I love his take on, and you know, you guys will get to hear it soon. It'll either release with this or adjacent to this episode. And so I really appreciate his insights. So Corey, you're a friend of us. Please come back soon. Like, let's all talk. Love to hear. Like, love to conversate. There's some things I'd love to talk about.
Yeah.
One of the things that was interesting to me is when you guys were talking about meeting people, you know, in public, and how just weird it is to see that. And for me, what sparked it was, I remember maybe 2007 or so, 2006. I was in the airport. My oldest daughter Delaney's birthday happens to be February 17th. So I usually travel a lot around Valentine's Day. You know, I'm always going. She lives in Kansas. I live in Washington. So I make that trip. And I remember being in the airport super early on a Saturday, I don't know what day it was, Thursday probably, on like the 15th.
Thursday's an odd day to travel, eh?
Well, I mean, when you got to get there, you got to get there. That's just the word, right?
Okay.
And so I'm standing in security line, and I've got this belt buckle because that was the style in 2007. It's the West Coast Choppers belt buckle, and I throw that on the thing, and I'm going through, and like I felt this presence behind me. Like that's all I can, like it was weird. You know, being a big guy, you don't feel presence often. You know what I mean? So it was kind of a little bit unnerving. So I spin around, and I'm looking dead in this dude's chin. You know, that's how big he is. Excuse me. And I see this Sarah tattoo on his neck, and I'm like, oh, this is the Undertaker. Like, oh my God. He's like, what's up, brother? And I'm like, hey man, like I'm a big fan of yours. He's like, oh, I appreciate that. He goes, love the belt buckle, you know, because at that point, like, you know, he was like prime Undertaker at this point, you know, riding the Jesse James chopper, and you know,
is this like the big dog, you know, a big red,
yes.
You know, when he's coming down with a big chopper? And,
yes, that one, that big West Coast
and
chopper.
that
like,
Kid Rock, that Kid Rock song there he was coming in with? Okay,
yes, this is that era, right?
Yeah.
We're talking about big dog, prime Undertaker world. You know, this is like the Steve Austin's rock Undertaker collaboration, right? And
Right.
Triple H, all those guys, all that stuff, right? And so we like to strike up a conversation. I'm like, what are you doing, man? And he's like, me and Sarah live here. I was home for Valentine's Day. I got to get into Dallas for WrestleMania this weekend. I'm on a flight, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's cool. So then we like start chopping up and we like start walking together just like organically. And so I'm walking through the airport with Undertaker. This is like 2007. Like, no one has cell phones at this point with cameras, right? We're good cameras.
Right.
And which is unfortunate because I really wish I had a picture. But like, I'm just rolling through the airport with Undertaker, and it turns out his gate is like next to mine. So we walk the entire way to the gates. And I can hear people as I walk by, like, that's the Undertaker. That's like, and I'm like I'm strutting because I'm walking with Undertaker. Like, you're gonna strut with the Undertaker. And then we just talk about whatever. And we get to the gate, and he's like, all right, brother, have a safe flight. And like gave me a pound, and like we just rolled out, and everyone's like, I remember sitting down, this dude was like, do you know the Undertaker? And I was like, yeah, because I did. I mean, but not say I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. You're not lying.
No, and it's like, for me, it's like that was always like how I just acted. Like, I act that way now in public. Like, I try to see people, if I see people that I know, I don't know them, but I know them from entertainment or whatever.
Yeah.
I just try to treat them like a normal person. I remember being at a Mariners game around the same time frame, and we're sitting, in a section, and they show Bob Hill, who was the coach of the Sonics.
Right.
And they show Bob Hill a couple rows down in front of us. Like, oh, that's cool, man. I like Bob. Bob's a good coach. So a couple days later, he gets up. He's going to head up to concession stand or something. Now he's coming up and having eye contact. And I go, hey, Bob, what's up, man? How you doing? And he like leans in and like bro hugs me. And he's like, oh, man, good to see you. Like, blah, blah, and like rolls back up a thing. And I was with my sister, and she was like, do you know Bob Hill? I was like, no, I haven't seen him on TV. She's like, what was that? I was like, and for me, it's always been like, you just treat those people like they're people, Yeah. And I think that they generally reciprocate like the good energy. I think it's what you give people, right? You give people good energy, and they give it back.
Yeah, you don't want to act like some fanboy, right? Although,
man, it's tough. Well, it's tough though.
Yeah, I tell you. Well, there's certain people I think I would probably just stop talking and just, oh yeah.
Yeah. Hey man, big fan of yours.
Yeah.
Turn into Chris Farley a little bit,
Oh man,
you did that thing.
You remember when you did that thing? That's right. So I have a similar story. So Russell Peters, international superstar, famous comedian, grew up in Brampton, Ontario. That's where I'm from originally, is Brampton, Ontario. I was never friends with Russell Peters. Like, I didn't know him as I would call him my friend, but we were acquaintances, we knew each other at parties, things like that. Yeah. Anyways, this has to be around 1996. So he's already making a name for himself in the comedy world in Canada, already doing Yuck Yucks. He's been on a few talk shows, been on a few specials. So, he's doing his thing. And everybody's proud of him. It's like, all right, Russell Peters, repping Brampton. All of a sudden, I'm doing this contest. It's a radio contest there, CFNY at the time, out in Brampton, Ontario. They're playing the dating game, and I managed to somehow answer the right questions, and sound good, and then I got selected. So I was like, yeah.
Wait, hold on, to be on a dating game?
Yeah, it was on a dating game. Yeah. So I get selected, right? So I, just pulled the wool over her eyes. It was all good. Anyways, so the date was at this one bar that was in Mississauga, but they're doing Yuck Yucks night. And guess who the star attraction is? None other than Russell Peters, right? So Russell, like I said, he's in there, he's doing his thing, but he has, I'm in the front with this date. There's another couple that, there was two of us that were on this dating game, so we're both there.
Like a double date dating game?
Very, very strange, yes. So
the 90s were wild, right?
I'm telling you. So here we are.
Doesn't make any sense.
Russell's up there, right? And this is how intimate this is. This isn't a stage or anything. He's standing on the floor.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Doing his thing, okay? And then he just makes eye contact with me. He goes, hey, man, I know you. Yeah. And he goes, do you ever notice, how when East Indians are seeing each other, that there's like a billion of us, and somehow we're just still focused on each other. It doesn't matter who's around us. It's like, oh, there's another one of me, you know. But I mean, you know, he's doing his Russell Peters thing. But then he's just pinging on me all night, just bang, 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 bang. I'm like, oh no. Yeah, regardless of say the date didn't go so well.
Yeah,
good thing at the end, because I still met my wonderful, beautiful wife, who I'm very much in love with. So all things happen for a reason, Brad.
Yeah,
all things happen for
I
a
agree.
reason.
Yeah.
That's my brush with Russell Peters.
Oh, Sean, of all the things you've done. Wait a minute.
Let's just
Anyway.
drink that down there. Yes.
Yeah. Let that settle for a second. So, anyway, a couple of things that we've seen is game sevens, right? And I think I want to say that it's a product of the bubble. I don't know that. It just feels that way, right? And all these upsets that we're seeing Miami Heat go up 3-0 on the Bucks, which I would like to hear your top thoughts if you think it's a sweep or not. The game sevens in hockey, right? And that's the wild thing for me with the hockey thing is that game 6 happens and then game 7 happens almost immediately.
Well, I think that they're just trying to expedite everything, right? So,
yes.
I thought Vancouver and Golden Knights, they went back to back for a game 7. I was just like, man, you could have given them in the Sunday.
Felt like it was rough, right? Like I felt like that was a rough turn of events for both teams. I mean, it worked out for the Golden Knights, obviously.
Yeah.
But what Vancouver was able to do with that backup goalkeeper and make that run, like
Thatcher Demko. Wow.
It's man.
That's
got stones, right?
I'm telling you, and all I could think about is here's this kid from California doing this crazy stuff, and meanwhile, you see I forget the other goaltender there on Vancouver though, Markstrom, and you just see his stock just going down as his kid is just.
You know what was interesting about that though is that there was no one more excited for him than the number one. And I always love that moment in sports, right? Where like you can't go for whatever reason, and your backup guy, answers the bell, next man up, and comes out and is playing lights out, and you see genuine excitement for that guy.
Yeah,
I think that's beautiful, right? That's a character thing for Markstrom, right? And I think that sets the tone for Vancouver moving forward. It'll be interesting to see what they do in that room, right, with the goalies. But I think from a standpoint of learning through the playoffs, because some teams don't, right? In any sport, you go to the playoffs. If you have a bad experience, you lose a series. You don't necessarily come out of it better to build on for the next year, right?
Right.
For Vancouver, this was definitely a building moment.
It's a huge building moment, yeah.
I think, and so.
And what people don't realize is that Vegas last year went out in 7 games, right?
Yeah.
So there was a big.
Well, you could just tell that they had been there before, right?
Yeah.
Like Game 7 wasn't as competitive as 4 and 5 and 6 had been.
Well, all the scoring happened in the third period. So I mean, they were out shooting Vancouver huge.
That's what I mean. It just wasn't as even, right? 4, 5, and 6, you saw a more competitive fire and more of a balance. Where I think that the moment was big for Vancouver.
Mm-hmm. No, it was huge. I mean, and
we knew that Vegas had been there. You could just tell, right? It's just it's the same thing that we talk about with the Raptors right now, right? Like they've been in this moment before, so you don't see the pressure for them.
Oh man,
much.
Like to me, all I kept on thinking about throughout these teams bringing it to Game 7. So you saw Boston pretty much like they were done against Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay right now is probably the only team that is so happy that everything went to Game 7 because that gives time for Stamkos to heal up and come back. It gives times for Kucherov to heal up and come back. Because if they didn't have Kucherov or Stamkos, I think Tampa Bay's season might be in jeopardy as far as going up against either the Flyers or the Islanders.
What a wild series that's been, right?
Buddy, I'm there. So like I said, right now I have a running thing going with these two Americans, okay? And I told them that basically, yeah, Philadelphia is a wash. They're gone. The Islanders got a great system. And twice the Islanders are playing this crazy game of Philadelphia goes up 2 or 3 goals, and then they come back and tie it or go ahead, then they let them tie it, and then it goes to 2 overtimes, and then Philly comes back in and wins it. So every game that Philadelphia has won has been in overtime in this series. So I'm looking at this, and I'm just there going, what in the world is New York doing? And you could tell that the goaltender over there, Varlamov, was just shaky because the Islanders were out shooting Philadelphia, and 17 shots, you let in 4 goals. Yeah, you're not in your game.
No, he's got the yips. He has the yips, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I think that's just, he's got to get that figured out.
And then Colorado, Dallas. I mean, so here's the thing, right? We were talking about Denver. Denver came back, right, from Utah. They were down 3-1, comes back, and then wins it, right? Like wins 4 games in a row.
Man, almost didn't though.
Yeah.
Right?
It was so close.
You make a terrible decision in trying to shoot a layup with a couple of seconds left when you should just pull that ball out and get fouled. Like, that's basketball strategy 101. I get if you make it, you go up 4, right? But, like, you just can't take it. You got to take the foul. You've got to shoot free throws.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever seen a shot. I watch a lot of basketball, right? Like, that's my favorite. I love the NFL. Like, but I'll watch basketball at any level. I just love the game. And I don't know that I've ever seen a ball go so far down the cylinder and pop back out for a game as Mike Conley's ball that went. That was unbelievably deep. Unbelievably deep to be in that hole. So,
Yeah. That's funny, man.
Yeah. It was, it's interesting to me. I'm a bit of a, I'm a bit of a Trailblazer fan now just because, it's proximity and I just enjoy them and a lot of things go into that, but like I find myself actually being able to be a fan because, my team's gone, right? And
so there's no stake.
It's not like I get attached to in-game to teams. I'll watch a game not caring about who I think is going to win until like the last 2 minutes, and then I definitely pick a team that I'm rooting for. So definitely pulling for Denver. I could tell just as my blood pressure would go up as they were, making those decisions. But, but you could see the effects of it in game 1 against the Clippers, right? You could see the effects of that series. So it'll be interesting to see how they shake back around.
Well, the thing is that I had to apologize because I thought that Denver had no talent, right?
Yeah.
And here they came back and they win that. But then game 1 happens then in the conference finals, and Kawhi and Paul George let Denver know where they are right now.
Yeah.
It's like,
wow.
Wow.
Well, you saw Trez, right? I mean, he was going to back up that 6-man award. He was just sticking that thing in the hole and God, I love watching that guy play. That's probably my favorite series right now is, a big fan of the Clippers. I love Doc Rivers. I think that roster of the Clippers is unique. A big fan of what they're doing in Denver. And so that series to me is a lot of fun. Fascinated last night to watch the Houston Rockets come out and just kind of give it to the Lakers.
Like, give it to the Lakers, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's even the score was a bit much as it was, and it still didn't feel like it was even that close. So it'll be interesting to see if LA can adapt. I mean, LA is going to win a game, or at least they're going to win a couple games, right? But, man, Houston really is turning it on at the right time.
They set a tone, right? And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next game. Now, we were talking about the Heat and the Bucks.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I think you still wanted to talk something about Houston, did you? Houston Lakers?
Well, it'd be interesting to see how the Lakers adapt because I think that you've seen in in both their careers, AD and LeBron both don't respond as well to getting punched in the mouth. So it's going to be interesting to see how long it takes them to rebound from this. It might be, I think, Portland snuck game 1 and then got pounded the rest of the series. I don't think that, the talent level between Houston and Portland is different.
Right. Well, I mean, you have Westbrook, you have
and James Harden.
Yeah, it's a dangerous
didn't
team.
play well, right? In some parts of the Oklahoma series. And so It's gonna be interesting to see how they come together and get it. So let's move on to Miami and Milwaukee.
Right. So Miami and Milwaukee blew my mind. If you were going to tell me that Jimmy Butler was going to go out there and dominate this series, you're going to tell me that Miami is going to go out there and put a hurting on Giannis and the boys, Chris Middleton. Yeah. I would have said you're crazy, but they're right now on the verge of sweeping the Bucks.
Yeah, we're going to see what the Bucks are made of, right?
Oh my gosh. I really thought that the Bucks were going to come and answer the bell in Game 3, and they did. They were putting up. They were up actually at the half, and they were up for most of the game, and then they weren't.
Correct.
And I'm still there picking my jaw up off the floor because I just cannot believe what I'm witnessing with this Bucks team.
Or is it the Heat team? Like, are we taking away from the Bucks, or is it the Heat?
No, you know what? The Heat team. You know what? Good point, because the Heat team is showing up there and they're playing great team basketball right now.
Do you know the rumor who Jimmy Butler's dad is?
No.
You'll have to go look at it and see it side by side when I tell you this. And just go research it afterwards, and we can talk about it more next time.
Okay.
The rumor is that Jimmy Butler's dad is Michael Jordan.
Oh, come on.
Listen, I promise you that when I heard that in the barbershop, okay, Lampton was like, hey, this is – and I was like, nope, stops my haircut. We pull it up on the phone. You look at it side by side of Jimmy Butler. It's all over the internet. If you just Google is Michael Jordan Jimmy Butler's dad, you find all the articles.
Why does this sound like Illuminati stuff? I don't understand.
Listen, all the way through. It's been like you just watch the whole progression of it.
This is like the best kept secret ever. What are you talking about?
I know. It's like I'm just listen. Go read about. I'm not saying it's true. The rumor always was that Jimmy's mom had him with a professional athlete in Chicago and blah blah blah. But like, and I'm like, yeah, whatever, right? But when you look at them side by side, and there's a picture on the internet where someone has taken their faces, and they did the half face thing.
Yeah,
man, I don't know that it's true.
Are you gonna say it's 100% certifiable here right now?
No, I wouldn't say that. I drink the Kool-Aid though now because I see it. I'm like, man, they've got to at least be related. Like,
he has been.
They look a lot alike. When you put them side by side, it's a lot alike, and you kind of like.
Are you talking about their basketball game now, or are you talking about their facial features? Because
both. Like, they look a lot alike. But then you look at this killer that he has in him right now, and it's like, man.
Oh.
I don't know. Maybe
76ers are still kicking themselves right now. They're still.
Yeah, we talked about this before. They made the wrong choice, right?
Absolutely.
They hooked to the Embiid wagon, and they shouldn't have.
Absolutely. 76ers.
It should have been the Ben Simmons and Jimmy Bucket show.
Hey, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you know what I mean? Because here's the thing: is that you could still sign somebody, you could still trade for somebody. Look at the Raptors with Marc Gasol, and we had Jonas Valanciunas. Great. I mean, to me, he's a great center. He's a great player, but. Marc Gasol, as old as he is, was definitely that guy that's going to be the catalyst as far as just passing the ball, feeding the ball.
Yeah. He's just so talented.
He is, and he does so many different things. Let me tell you something about that Raptors game, okay? I was incensed at the last little bit, okay? Because here I am watching this game very intensely, and I'm just seeing these guys just trying to shoot the three ball. And there was a moment there where it was like 2 minutes or something like that. We weren't scoring. It was like 95-95.
Yeah.
We haven't scored, because it's just like they come up. You could see another play being developed, but no. Go for the perimeter shot. And it's like these guys just weren't feeling that perimeter shot right there at that moment. And I'm just like, come on, man. Just build that lead. Man. It doesn't matter about a three ball. You don't have to put this thing away right now. Just build the lead. And then, of course, out comes Boston doing their Boston thing and coming back and just killing us. And then Kemba Walker with the last few seconds of that game, that was I was incensed because I saw Gasol, I saw Lowry, I saw them collapsing on Walker, and he makes the dish that I've like a beautiful dish, just a beautiful bounce pass over to Tice. And Tice went right up, boom, hits it, and I'm there going 0.5 seconds. You've got to be kidding me. So I was incensed.
It felt like the ball game, right?
That was it.
I didn't get to watch it live, but I saw the replay of it, and I thought, oh, that's the ball game.
Oh, and then because these coaches are at this high level, right?
Yeah.
He puts in what's the coach's name anyways there in Boston? I keep forgetting his name.
Brad Stevens.
Yeah, Stevens. He puts in 7'5" Taco Fall.
Yeah.
This guy's a giant. To block Lowry.
Lowry threw that pass over like a monster.
I thought Lowry should have just taken the shot. I don't know. It was crazy. He shoots it. It goes rainbow perfectly right into OG's hand. And here's what I love, though, is that nobody was guarding OG. Because
OG hadn't hit a shot.
That's exactly it.
He hadn't even taken a shot.
So why would you? And here he is with a shot that he needs to make. He makes it. And you see
to catch and shoot a basketball in half a second is so incredibly stupid.
Oh.
Like, it's dumb to like even fathom how quickly that has to happen. And he got it off. Like, all those things happened, right?
Yeah, like everything happened. And it was like everything against them. And still, I don't know how. Because Kyle Lowry put up 31 points that game. I mean, he played a game. 8 assists. He was out there. He was playing a game. And I was just like, wow. Like, because we were talking about Pascal Siakam hasn't really showed up yet.
Yeah.
You know? Like, there's a few guys that haven't really showed up yet. But Lowry, that bulldog mentality, is going in there, and he's going to get his points, you know. Right now, you don't say he's one of the top point guards in the league right now. I think you're, I don't know, like maybe you're drinking something or you're seeing something I'm not seeing because, because that was great. And OG's walking off like he just makes this shot every time. Yeah.
Listen, OG was an OG. Like, he was just like, bucket. No celebration, stone face, just cold-blooded.
Like he's done it before. You know what I mean?
It reminded me of when Damian Lillard hit that 3 over Paul George to send that series home last year in the playoffs.
Yep.
And like, listen, it's my favorite gift to send to everybody whenever like something goes on. It's his name, stone face, just looking at the camera like, yeah, like I did. And that's the same way OG was. He was just like, yeah, like everyone's mobbing him and doing his thing, and he's just like, ring. Like, on to the next one. Let's get it.
Man.
Yeah, fascinating to watch him tonight, right? To see what the rebound, to see if they even the series up, see how it goes. Because, you know, like we talked earlier, we felt like this was the premier series that was left.
Yes.
Right? This was the battle. This was the matchup of the matchups, was this one.
And it's living up to it.
We swung and missed horribly on the Miami-Milwaukee series. But
I don't think anybody could have predicted that.
We hit it correctly that it wasn't going to be competitive. Yeah. We just had the wrong team not being competitive. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
It happens.
And then, yeah, I mean, I think the 2 LA teams, I still think that, I mean, it's a coin flip, right? That one of them is going to come out of the West. But man, I don't know how you don't look at Miami right now and think, man, if they stay this hot, I don't know what anybody has for them.
They could be sitting there and waiting a little bit. You know what I mean? In the next game, just like
dangerous, right? Because Eric Spoelstra too is interesting to me because I think that he doesn't get the credit he deserves because people feel like he had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, you know, and LeBron, right?
Yeah.
And really, man, that dude is a coach.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's some of the way that he approached this thing that's Pat Riley-ish, right? Which makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Spoelstra's doing a job with those boys. So, yeah. I mean, I'm here for all of it.
We're way around the corner now of NFL season. I want to start talking about it. I've been talking a little bit there because I know a couple of boys from Chicago. I don't even know how that's going to work out. But
Bill Mitchie.
With Will having those guys having a quarterback competition.
Well, they said last night that it's Mitchell.
Really? They're going to go with Mitchell Trubisky, eh?
Yeah, they said Matt Nagy came out and said it was difficult and that Nick Foles did a lot of things, but they said that's the jump they saw in Mitchell, or Mitchie, as we like to call him.
Yeah.
was enough that they felt like he deserved the starting job, so he went that way. Let's talk quickly about the Overeem fight, because I know we're both big fans of Overeem, and then I want to dive into NFL real quick because I don't want to forget to talk about what Uncle Dana's been doing for all of us and giving us these great fights. But Overeem tonight, is it going to be the monster Overeem that we've seen, or is it going to be the overmatched, not prepared Overeem? Which one do you think we see tonight?
Well, Saki has not. I think he's won his last 6 fights, and Overeem has won 3 of the last 4. So to me, this is a legit, you're starting to get back into contendership, for these two guys. It's hard for me to say because Overeem, every time he comes in, looks like a beast. He always looks like he's trained hard. He always looks like, but it's just like I just don't know.
It's hard to know until you see him. Pop up, right?
It's one of those freakish things. I'll never forget. When we saw him take out Brock Lesnar way back, you and I were watching that. I remember that, and that knee to his chest. That was the first time I think I saw Brock going, "No, I don't want to be here." I don't want to be here.
No. I mean, even I just pulled it up just now to look at it. You just look at the marketing shots between Overeem and Augusto, and they don't even look like they're in the same weight class. Man, this Overeem's is these giant traps, and this grown ass man. Then you got this other guy, just it'll be, you can't overlook him, right?
No. But you got guys like Stipe, who's 220, 230 sometimes when he comes into fight, but usually likes to come down a little slimmer, and he's knocked out these guys. You know what I mean? He's knocked out monsters, legitimate monsters. To me, it's interesting, Cain Velasquez knocked out Brock Lesnar. It's interesting because Overeem, if he comes out and he's snapping it, and his kicks looking good, and his knees are looking good, I say Saki's in for a long night.
It's the kick game for Overeem, right? That's
exactly
how he's set up. If those kicks are popping off, you just hit it right in the head. If those kicks are popping off, man, KO.
Long night.
It's away.
Exactly. Long night for Saki because it's just how are you going to put up with that?
Maybe a quick night. He might not remember it.
But having said that, because we're talking Lesnar, we're talking Overeem. Did you hear that rumor?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, I heard the rumor.
So it's a rumor. I understand this. This is a rumor. But WWE has not signed back Brock Lesnar. So his merchandising is gone from the WWE webpage, everything like that, right? And I know right now AEW is actively trying to sign him because why wouldn't you? This is the beast incarnate. Yeah. Uncle Dana, smelling the opportunity, offering $25 million for one fight. This is a UFC fight. $25 million for one fight. Brock Lesnar, John Jones. Oh my goodness! I would pay money. I would pay money to see that.
That's why it's 25 M's, man. Everyone will pay money for it.
You throw John Jones into the deep end. That's the deep end, man.
I'd rather see John and Francis or John and Derek Lewis.
Oh,
but,
yeah, I hear you. I hear you.
I'd rather see any of those 3 fights. I'll still pay to watch it. You know why? Because I love a good fight.
Yeah, exactly it.
We love good fights.
And I'm not trying to take away anything from Francis or Derek, but Brock is that special athlete that is freaky fast, super strong, but he doesn't like to get hit. He doesn't like to get hit.
It's interesting to me because him and Overeem seem to have the same cloth, right? Of if they're motivated, elite.
Yes.
You have to question that motive. With John, you don't ever question that motive, right?
No.
John's coming in ready to go. Man. Yeah, I'd pay for it.
But John's just bulking up, right? So what's the most that John's going to come in at? I mean, he fights at 205.
I think he comes in that Stipe way. I think he comes in at 230.
At 220, 230, right?
He doesn't need it. He don't need the weight. He doesn't need the weight. He has the power, right? He doesn't need the weight for the power.
Yeah.
He needs to be agile and quick. I think he rolls around at that 220 number and just, man.
Oh, I pay money.
Lesnar will tip in at the max, right? And then he'll really be 285 day of, something like that.
Oh, yeah. 260 while he's weighing in. He comes in the additional 25. Yeah.
But Man, I don't care. I think you give him 60 pounds on John. I still think that's not something because I think, if Brock can get his hands on him and get him on the ground, then, John would have some concerns. Anyone is going to have concerns, but getting to the ground, Brock's going to have some concerns also. And so, man, I'd pay to see it. Because, the one thing about John is it's a bit of the same beef that I have with Anderson Silva is that it's slow starting because they're like trying to like gauge. And I get the strategy just as entertainment value.
Right.
The slow first couple rounds is always just like, come on, just end this guy. Like,
listen, I hear what you're saying. You know what I can't stand though is like the fans. The fans dictate sometimes how the fight happens. So I've been really happy that there has been no fans there because if it goes down to the ground, there's a great ground match going on. Let it happen because there's things that are happening down there that people don't understand. But the thing is, the fans are like, boo, and then the ref just stands them up, right?
Yeah, I just mean like this, the weighing out, like trying to figure out the reach, all the strategic things that Silva and Jones like to do that just take a couple minutes to get going. I think that Brock presses that for John, and so we'll see John,
Well, it's because Brock wants to come out.
And I like the aggressive John, right? Yeah. Aggressive, like beat your ass John is my favorite fighter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love John Jones anyway, right? But beat your ass, John, that's the best version of John Jones. And I think Brock Lesnar brings that to him because Brock's not going to stand there and let him weigh him out, right? Brock's bringing it to him.
That's exactly it. And the other thing too is like the only fighter I really think that's brought that out of John Jones was Daniel Cormier.
Yes,
they hated each other.
100%. And that's why we know John has that gear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? The difference between John Jones and Anderson Silva is that Anderson fights that way naturally. John fights that way because it's a strategy, right? But when John wants to beat your ass, John's going to beat your ass.
I just have to bring this up because I'll never forget you saying this. Was Forrest Griffin was your favorite fighter. And Anderson Silva. But, dude, you gotta say it because I won't do it any justice.
He was until Anderson whipped his ass so bad he made him leave the cage. Like, you can't defend somebody that way. Like you got your ass whipped so bad that you had to walk off and not even stand there for the head rate. Like you can't.
That was ridiculous. Like he took his soul. He took his soul away right there.
He stole it from him. Yeah, like I still think that. Like I watched that Toyo Tire commercial. And I don't even think Forrest knows he's even in the commercial because. He's just so happy that lady picks him. You can just tell it's like joy in his life that somebody picked him again because Anderson has beat the dog shit. Oh,
dude, I remember that fight too, and I hated Anderson for it because he was just standing there, arms down.
Oh, I hated it and loved it all at the same time. I was like, man. And he would like eat him a little bit, then he would like try to hit him. You know what I mean? I was like, man, this is like when you are messing around with your 3-year-old trying to teach him how to fight. Like.
He must have hit him perfectly on that ear because he crumpled. He just crumpled.
Just deaded him. It wasn't even competitive.
He wasn't the same Forrest after that either.
No, he was not. Man.
Actually, I would argue to say he wasn't the same Forrest Griffin after Rashad Evans when Rashad was just smacking him. And he's tapping. He was tapping, losing his title tapping because Rashad was just smashing his head. I'm just like, oh, gosh.
Rashad had everything for him in that fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, big week, football week.
Thursday,
kickoff.
Kansas City, Houston.
I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. I want this so bad. You know what it feels like to me? It feels like Christmas and I figured out where my parents have hid my presents. And I'm trying to decide if I want to ruin it by looking in the closet or if I want to wait for Christmas because I'm so just like in knots about if it's going to go off or not.
What, the season?
Like I love that we've had all the other sports. Like that's been great.
Yeah.
I don't care as much as I care about the NFL playing. I just want the NFL to go off. I don't want to. I can't have the. I'm gonna be so disappointed if it stops.
Well, I mean, like right now we're seeing all the kind of difficulties with Major League Baseball with coronavirus, but they haven't said anything about jagging in the season at all. So
I mean, they're gonna make a bunch of games, and I don't know if that's feasible in the NFL, right? If you have to cancel a game, They have to make it up quickly like they're going to do in baseball, right? Like we saw like 7-inning games yesterday, right? Doubleheaders with 7 innings and all that. You can't do that in football. What I hadn't thought about till this morning, as I was thinking about what we would talk about football today is, with baseball, I've always kind of felt like the travel has been the difference of the sport, right?
Well, of course.
NHL and the NBA and even the UFC, right? Like it's the control.
Yeah.
What I didn't appreciate until this morning when I was thinking about just logistically is you're going to have teams fly in the night before to a controlled environment.
Right.
Go to the stadium in a controlled environment. Leave and go back to their own little bubble. And the home team is going to be in that bubble the entire time. And so I feel like now, after maybe sitting with that for, and I haven't fully thought through it, so there's probably holes in that plan. But baseball is when you're on the road for a 3 or 4 game series, you're in a hotel in a strange city, you're bored as shit.
Yeah.
You're going to go places. I feel like that's the change, right? I think in football, we've seen it be so regimented. Like even in spring training, we saw positive tests for baseball. It was it's a different animal, I think, for baseball than it is for football.
Absolutely.
Which gives me a little bit of hope.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, right, is that okay, so already, right, before the NFL season kicked off, we heard of all these false positives or people that didn't have COVID and all that stuff, right? And they're already doing controlled environments for OTAs, for practices, for looking at film. Like you can't have everybody in there looking at film, so people are individually looking at film or X amount of people, right? Baseball, the big difference between baseball and football, okay, is baseball is 60 games that they're playing. So that means you're playing a series and you're flying then to the next one and playing that series. You're playing one game for that week in football. So what's to say that you do travel and you travel together and it's close knit and you stay in that bubble like you said, and you do everything in that bubble. The only time really that you're going to be sort of like in sort of any sort of harm's way will be the travel, but that's just one day. The rest of the time you're going to be in that controlled environment.
Yeah, and it's so private now. Like, you don't see those guys walking through the airport. You know what I mean? Like they're walking off the bus, getting on, or off the plane, getting on a bus, vice versa. And so I think, like thinking through the exposure that NFL has versus Major League Baseball, I don't feel like it's as necessary. I think it's why, you look at the NHL and the NBA, why they went to the bubble format is because of all the travel.
Absolutely.
The exposure, right? And I think with baseball, you're seeing the exposure and kind of seeing what happens. And it's a little bit, it hasn't been as disruptive, even canceling they haven't been canceled. I mean, it seems like once a week you'll see a series get canceled.
Right.
But you're not seeing multiple series get canceled across the game. You're seeing one series get canceled. And I think with football, I feel a little more confident in it now this morning, just after because to be honest, I haven't allowed myself to think much about it because
well, I know originally
I don't want to get let down, man.
Yeah. So you don't think about it, right? Like an ostrich.
Yes. Like, well, listen, I'll pop out when it's time for it and I'll just enjoy it. So with that in mind, let's talk, your team is the Bills.
Well, okay. So
I mean, you're a Seattle fan also, right? But like
honorary Seattle fan.
In heart of hearts.
Yeah. In my heart of hearts, it's the Bills. It's always going to be the Bills to start. Then, because I'm married to Joanna and I have lots of family there, and they're also, the lovable losers, the Cleveland Browns are up there as well, because.
But listen, though, are you a fan or is it more of a pity thing?
It's more of a pity thing, but
because if they were let's say they were from New England and they were Patriots fans, like how much of a fan would you be of your family sports team if they were Patriots fans?
Yeah, well, I don't think I could ever be a Patriot fan ever.
That's just my point.
Yeah.
Right? Because for me, it always comes down to fandom. I love all these different teams. I generally root for players and coaches, more than teams because I have my team, right? Like this is my team. But like when you stack them up, like the who's who of like the second through down is always like I always look at matchups. I'm like, all right, well, like in your case, if Buffalo is playing Seattle, it's Buffalo. That's how you know that's your favorite team.
Yeah,
if Buffalo and Cleveland are playing, who are you rooting for?
Oh, Buffalo.
Easy, right? Like
yeah.
That's how I stack those things.
I'm gonna root for Buffalo because I want Buffalo to make the postseason. I want Cleveland to make the postseason. It's been so long.
We all do. It's a great story. We all do. No one likes a long-time loser, right? No one does.
Seattle, Seattle's just a good team. So
yeah. Well, they're just fun to watch, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you came in at the prime time of your Seahawks fandom. You didn't have to go through the 1992 year and the 80s.
It looks like you're still scarred.
It's why I can only mildly enjoy this now. It's why I'm not as upset about the Super Bowl odds. Like I knew that was coming. I
almost spilled my beer out of my mouth there.
You're welcome. So with all those being said, AFC East felt wide open.
It did.
You have to bet on if you're a Patriots fan, you have to bet on a healthy Cam Newton. One.
You do.
Two, you have to bet on a Josh McDaniels system that fits him, which for me feels like if Josh McDaniels can get something out of Tim Tebow, he can definitely get something out of Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Which is terrifying for the AFC.
Yeah. If you have a healthy Cam Newton, so listen, New England is still a threat. So I thought it was a wide open.
As long as they have Billy, they're going to be a threat.
Yeah. So I thought it was a wide open.
It was.
And then Cam Newton came, and I'm like,
Belichick. So what is your prediction for your Buffalo Bills? What's the season record?
I still say we take the division. I still say the Bills take the division. I say they're going to be 11-5, and you're probably looking at a 10-6 New England team. Now, having said that, I'm sorry, Dolphins fans. I don't see them doing too hot. I don't see the Jets doing super hot. I don't know. I might be completely.
For your sake, that the Dolphins are competitive and can at least steal a game from the Patriots.
Well, you always know that they show up against the Patriots. I mean, so for some strange reason, the Dolphins always seem to steal a game from the Patriots.
Especially now, though, right? With Brian Flores being in there. Brian Flores being the Belichick protege and really one of the only ones to defeat Bill Belichick. You got to hope they steal a game from the East. I think
absolutely.
The Jets or whatever the Jets are, like that's just, unfortunate. I think, it's a mismatch of offensive talent. Le'Veon Bell being there is not great for them. He's just not an Adam Gase guy. He's not doing Sam Darnold any favors.
No.
They're just kind of. I'm very grateful to them for the Jamal Adams trade. Thank you. Thank you for that. I felt like that boosted my Seahawks from, maybe a 10-6 season to a 12-4 season. So
I think the Seahawks are taking that division over there too. I mean, San Fran is still good, but I think that people are starting to look at the playbook of San Fran. San Fran's not going to be a joke. They're still going to be in there. I just don't see them winning the division.
You can't count out a Shanahan team. You just can't.
No, you can't.
You can't do it with Daddy Shanahan. You can't do it with Mike. What's his name? The old punchable Shanahan. Kyle.
Yeah, but you're still dealing with the quarterback there, good-looking dude.
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Jimmy Garoppolo there. I mean, he is a good quarterback, but
he is.
Now you got a whole
and they've got the weapons. They've got a line. Their defense is stellar.
They
Their
do.
Secondary's a little bit iffy. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Arizona's going to be difficult, right? I mean, you bring in Hopkins and Fitzgerald on the field.
But Seattle looks legit out there as well, though. I mean, you have the young receiving core right now. And who knows what Metcalf's going to be able to do this season, the follow-up last season. Your defense got a lot better. And you know that Russell is going to show up no matter what. Yeah. So to me,
it feels like for the first time in a long time going in, the line is pretty set. There's not a lot of jockeying, right?
Yeah, because there's
running
been
game
some
is
seasons.
very solid. Yeah, the running game is very solid. Really happy with the tight end room. Like, that's great. The thing for me to watch early for Seattle is this Josh Gordon move.
That's interesting, eh? Yeah.
I don't know what you do in a world as a defense if you put a Greg Olsen or a Disley on the end, on the TN spot, then you run out Josh Gordon, DK Metcalf, and Lockett, and you have Chris Carson in the backfield with Russell Wilson running that offense. I don't know what you do.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, to me, I see Seattle winning that division. And I'm not trying to be showing my bias there, but I do. But I also see I also see Cleveland not winning the division with Baltimore. I think Baltimore win the division, but I see Cleveland making the postseason.
Yeah, I think so, especially in the AFC, right? I think that this year is a little bit of a down year for the AFC. I think across the board, I think that there's definitely like the top cream, right? You're talking about the Kansas Cities and the Baltimores, and then you look at the rest of the world, and we don't know what Pittsburgh's going to be. We don't know what Houston's going to be with that revamped kind of look they have.
Yeah.
It's hard, right? The Colts are what the Colts. What are the Colts? I'm not comfortable to say I know what the Colts are.
We really don't. We really don't.
That's what I mean. The Titans. Like you hope the Titans are a fun.
I think that the Titans. They have that good coaching staff there as well, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
That's what I'm saying. You hope that story continues, but are you sold on it?
No.
Right? I'm not sold on that.
I think it was a one-off, but I mean, Cleveland now you have Stefanski walking in there, and I think that's a better upgrade anyways to what they had.
You look at what Stefanski was able to do with Kirk Cousins, right? And he had an elite receiving group in Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen.
Yep. And what are you walking into here?
Yes.
An elite receiving group.
Yes.
I mean,
same line. And you got Nick Chubb, right? And you've got Kareem Hunt.
Kareem Hunt.
Talking about a 1-2 bang of a running back group.
It's just the old line.
Going to be Baker Mayfield. If he has talent and time, he can get there. The problem with Baker is mentally, right? If Baker starts getting banged around mentally, he's rough. But then you look at what that defense has been able to do in Cleveland, and they've pressed it forward.
Absolutely.
I think they finished second in that division, right? I think they're
in front
of Pittsburgh, and they're definitely in front of the Bengals.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? That's interesting as well.
Unless Joe Burrow comes out.
Well, Joe Burrow had that, monster season in college. You're now about to play amongst men, and I don't think he's not going to not have a good season, but I just don't see Cincinnati at that level.
Blinders, right? I mean, he's got Joe Mixon as a good running back. If AJ Green's healthy, like they've got some decent weapons on offense.
They do.
Defense, I think, is fun. I don't know if they have enough juice.
Yeah.
They're they are who they are. Then you look across the table at the NFC, a lot of interesting moves happening there. You see, some of the old guard, Adrian Peterson going his way this week. Kind of a surprise move. Clinton Dix getting cut from the Cowboys.
Yeah.
More of that story. There has to be. I thought it was interesting that they said still no interest in Earl Thomas. Because everyone kind of clued in Earl to the Cowboys, and they're saying now we're not.
Yeah, but you saw what Earl Thomas did when he was leaving the field there in Seattle and just gave it the old middle finger, right? Yep. So there's something going on, with Earl Thomas.
If you can't play for Jim Harbaugh, John Harbaugh. I always get the Harbaugh bus.
Yeah.
Listen, I like Baltimore Harbaugh. I do not like Michigan Harbaugh.
Okay.
Whichever one of those has a more punchable face than the other one. But if you can't play there, right? If you are arguably one of, let's just say Earl's even slipped a little bit and he's one of the top 10 safeties in the game.
Yeah.
Which easily he is. He's probably a top 5 safety still.
Yeah.
If you can't make it out of camp because you got to fight with one of your teammates, for a Harbaugh, and Pete Carroll doesn't have any interest in you anymore because Pete Carroll's famous for reclamation progress, right?
Yeah.
Like Pete Carroll wants nothing to do with you. You have these two well-respected coaches and GMs that are just want to move on from you.
Watch New England.
Oh, God, don't say that.
I know, but Bill Belichick is the same way. I'll take him.
I hadn't thought about that.
I'll take him.
Is there a more irritating team than a team with Cam Newton and Earl Thomas on it?
No. Yeah. You know what? That would be and then the thing is that they would rub it in your face too every time they beat you.
God, yeah, they just
Okay. Interesting you were talking about Dallas, because to me, Dallas, I'm sorry, Dallas fans, but you guys are the Toronto Maple Leafs of professional football, okay?
Does that mean you're going to start rooting for them?
No, of course not.
Oh.
I'm just saying that, of course not. I'm just saying, though, that, every time, if you hear any Cowboys fan, they're just like a Leafs fan, this is your year, we're going to win the Super Bowl, You're not winning it. Yeah, you're not winning it. You're not winning it this year. That team is not good enough. You have a good team, but not good enough.
Maybe.
I don't know. Philadelphia is going to be good this year. The G-men are not going to be the same, and especially, do you think after the way the offensive coordinator there was treated when he was in Dallas's old head coach?
Yeah, Jason Garrett.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think he's not coming back for a little revenge after that?
Jason Garrett has to love Daniel Jones and the weapons that he has in that offense.
Absolutely.
Has to.
Absolutely. Giants are going to be a different beast this year.
Yep.
Philadelphia is going to come out with a vengeance. I don't know. I don't know what to say about Dallas, but I don't know.
I'll say this. They won't be last place in the division, but they might be third.
Yeah. Now, New Orleans.
Yeah.
Carolina.
Carolina's not I wouldn't necessarily worry about Carolina in the same way I wouldn't worry about Atlanta. I think that they'll both be competitive teams. I think that they won't be bottom feeders by any stretch.
Yeah.
But that division of New Orleans and Tampa, those are the also Rams. That might be the most competitive division in football.
I have to agree with you. Yeah.
The NFC West, I think, is very competitive, right? Between the Rams and, who the Cardinals aspire to be, who they saw flashes of last year, who we know San Francisco to be, and then, with Seattle in there, that's a very competitive division. The NFC East or South is also the move. Leonard Fournette, all the off-field distractions, right? I think that you can draw lines together that say he's not a great teammate.
Right.
I think he's not a great teammate when he's losing.
Yeah.
I think that Tom Brady fixes that. I think that the Tampa Bay offense is elite. I think their defense can do enough. And I think that you go to New Orleans. What I'm fascinated to watch about New Orleans defense is good, right?
Yes.
They're top tier. The offense is otherworldly. You have two things that I want to watch for the New Orleans offense. One is how Kamara is going to play knowing that he has a contract coming.
Right.
And maybe feeling a little bit slighted by playing on the deal. Maybe they get it done before the season starts. Maybe they don't. Did Drew Brees do enough to win back his teammates?
You mean after the comments there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, publicly, they'll all say he has, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I want us to watch is if really he has.
Yeah.
Because they'll go the way he goes, right?
Yeah.
We all know that. And if they're not 100% on Drew, I think we'll see it early.
You know what? I can't speak one way or the other because I'm not in the locker room, but you're absolutely right. I think you will see you will see it on the field if they have or they haven't, because they're going to win with him or they're going to lose with him, right? I mean, it's just the way it is. I haven't, and you know what? I haven't even put this through my head. I haven't even processed this, but you get to see Drew Brees and Tom Brady go after each other twice this year. So
yeah, dude,
I didn't even process that.
I haven't been able to process a lot of things about this football season because I wasn't entirely sure it was going to go off, and I just didn't want to be disappointed. But now that we're here on the cusp of it, man.
And it's going to take week 1, week 2. by the time week 3 rolls around, we're already picking champions.
Yeah. It's interesting not having any preseason games. Not being able to, I think the first couple weeks will be a little bit.
Yeah.
You'll see some fast starts. It's going to be a different year for sure. Some teams, like the teams that didn't have a lot of movement and had to bring back a lot of the same core guys, same coaching staff. I think you'll see those guys hit the ground running, right? Yeah. You might see a little bit of a dip as the year goes if they have some injuries or just, I think we'll see some sloppiness because of tiredness, from just not having any game reps and that kind of stuff. But, man, maybe it's the Corona talking. I don't know that we've ever been more anticipated football season.
No,
every football season is big, right? But this feels like the savior for me. This feels like
this is going to take us through to February, brother. So this
feels like to me early in this whole pandemic, we felt like we didn't know where the end was, but early on we kind of thought it was going to be like a couple of months. Remember that whole 3 to
flatten the curve,
whatever that was.
Yeah.
And then Tiger King hit, and we're all like, Tiger King saved us all from the pandemic.
I forgot about Tiger King, but you're right.
Doubling down on the NFL being that for me for the pandemic. You know what I mean? I don't know how it's going to go. I don't care how it's going to go. Whatever your thoughts are on the pandemic, whatever it is, I really don't care because football's here.
Yeah.
I don't care anymore. That's, my life is getting me back to normal because football's on and, man.
But heaven forbid if football stops, Brad's going to become green and monstrous.
Listen, somebody come knock on my door and see how I'm doing. It's not going to go well.
All right.
And I told you before, I watched the entire season.
I know. And you know what? I let you say that.
Every game.
I let you say that. And then I'm just sitting there processing it after the fact because I'm just like, he watched every single game of that season.
6 of them.
And he saw it twice.
And then I watched it on Red Zone. When Corey was talking, I wanted to be I was want to hug through the screen. I was like, brother, I get you watching games, man. I get it because I did it.
I'm just one of those people. If it was a classic, then I'll watch it. But I can't watch the whole season again. But
listen, I knew I had a problem. I was telling one of my friends this.
Oh, maybe I have the problem. Maybe I'm just not a big enough sports fan. I don't know.
Listen, this is when I knew I had a problem. Is when I Googled the top 10 NFL games of 2017. I knew that something was wrong with me.
We're wired a different way, though, Brad. We are.
I watched them all. It's fine.
It's
beautiful.
All right, little one-on-one here.
Yeah, let's get there.
Okay, all right. So, my question to you, Brad, very simplistic, and just give it to me, okay?
Yeah.
3 top wrestling factions of all time.
Man, I hate factions.
Ah! That might be your answer then. I don't know.
That's my answer. I could never get into it. I always felt like they were always better, one-on-one and these sly on the low team ups. I felt like that was I don't know, maybe this is my thing. It was when it was Undertaker versus everybody, I was into that. When it was Stone Cold versus everybody, I was into that. When The Rock made his turn.
Even Undertaker was part of a faction there with the Brothers of
I know, but then he rolled, right? But then he rolled and he was on his own and he was like, nah, you guys, I'm out. Everyone gunning for him. I think that's what I like. I like the outlaw guy where he's against everybody. I feel like
so you must have loved Sting then in WCW then.
Yes. That's why I think my favorite thing that you've ever told me is the craziest thing you've ever told me. And that's why I root for you, because you felt like fighting a bunch of dudes, one on a bunch was a fair thing to me. But for me, that just speaks to my soul. Where I'm yeah, why do you need to have friends back you up?
Oh, you do. I found out that night though. You really do.
But listen, here's the thing though about that night is you told me this. You said if I hadn't stepped off that curb wrong, it would have gone a different way.
It's a possibility, It's a possibility. Yes. Yeah.
But that's the thing, man. That's the thing.
It's listen. Come September 26th, we have my boy Stan Penrick coming on.
Yeah.
He was also the man that taught me Krav Maga. He's considered the 4th toughest man in the world, according to Black Belt magazine, April 2006.
Yeah.
World champion kickboxer, has trained world champions, including Donnie Lalonde. He's coming on. Anyways, though,
we're having a great conversation with Stan. We have some questions. We want to have some conversations.
Listen, though, he taught me a couple of things there. So, I mean, yeah, but I slipped off of there.
I could help 26-year-old you or however old you were.
Yeah, it probably could have, like, maybe run the other way is what Stan would have said. How would you run the other way?
Yeah, and then we wouldn't be here.
Oh, my gosh.
Then we wouldn't be here. Yeah, all those things. My one-on-one question is very similar, but it's who's your favorite oldest superstar? Like, this is my favorite oldest superstar. Woo! That's my guy, right? I mean, I feel like it's a lot of people's guy, but like for real, like that's my guy. Like who is yours? Who's your guy? Where you still? I know how you feel about Jake the Snake, right? Is it,
I love Jake.
Who's your guy where you still will defend? Like a sad thing for me was watching the Ric Flair documentary, the 30 for 30, and seeing that was sad for me. But I still just always want to root for the guy.
If you need to know, I've always had a soft spot for the old yellow and red. Okay, always had a soft spot for Hulkamania. Okay. You're a terrible wrestler, but I always had a soft spot there, okay? And like I said, that was also the greatest heel, as far as I'm concerned. He was the greatest face and the greatest heel. And to
me, I know you're biased, but yeah, he's a great one.
Dude, come on. When he turned heel, just smacking around Randy Savage there with the rest of them, it's like, come on. NWO, when that started, come on.
I can't disagree with you. I feel off actions. So.
Well, I mean, I love the NWO. Okay. They changed it. They changed the way that wrestling looked, and then it went crazy. It went out of control.
It went far. And so did the Hulk. I love Prime Hulk. I think that's great. I can't mess around with dyed hair Hulk or.
Dyed hair Hulk was fun to watch, man.
the most recent version of Hulk.
Well, it's sad to see Hulk
now. Home video Hulk is tough.
You went there.
There's a lot of things you
you went there. Oh, this is too much fun, man.
It's as fun as like the last couple of weeks have been for doing this. Like, I'm so excited for football season, I can't even comprehend it or even articulate it well. So, folks, tune in. It's going to get even better. We're just kind of filling this whole thing out. We're not even hit our stride yet. So, follow us: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, guys.beer.sports. DM us, holler at us, let us know if you want something to talk about, you want to see a guest on, you want us to bring some stuff back, let us know. Happy to do it. And I'll tell you, if we get a couple questions, we'll even have like a fan question thing. We'll bring you on, whatever.
Absolutely.
I think as NFL kicks off, look for more lives from us, some more just interactions, those things, just as we kind of get comfortable in our groove. So thanks for rocking with us. We appreciate you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.
You've listened to the podcast, but now it's time to visit us in our virtual sports bar. Like us on Facebook at Guys Beer Sports Podcast. Follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel at guys.beer.sports. When you do this, watch for live conversations with Brad and Sean that happen throughout the week, where you can join in with your favorite local beer. You can share your thoughts in the conversation comments with your own uploaded videos, or as a guest live commentator. The GBS Virtual Sports Bar is open for business. Come on in, boys and girls.